Bases loaded. Bottom of the ninth. Bases loaded. Bottom of the ninth. See, the cool thing about being a warrior is you're brave. And once you're brave, you're able to talk about topics people would never ever talk about. This is probably the first and the last time you're ever going to hear anybody talk about this topic. Well, it's not the last time for me, but you will probably never hear this topic unless it's from somebody that already sold their soul and they can't tell you everything, but they're trying to reach out and tell you. Now, J. Cole, I was in the barbershop and it made me laugh. I wasn't laughing at his situation, but I was laughing that he kept it so real. Shout out to J. Cole, Cole World, North Carolina. Shout out to J. Cole. In the song Love Yours, J. Cole said, good news is, and I'm going to say this slow so you guys can hear it. He said, good news is, we came a long way. The bad news is, we went the wrong way. And I'm going to bring that back from the top. The good news is, we came a long way. And I'm going to break that down because in order to get initiated, you have to really hustle to get initiated. It's not easy to get initiated. You actually have to put in work to get initiated. Don't get it twisted. And I'm going to say this again. Don't get it twisted. So for J. Cole, I don't know his whole story, but I think he was going to law school and he used to stand outside Jay-Z office until Jay-Z finally recognized him. You know, before social media, in order to get a record deal, you literally had to be outside. It doesn't matter if it was Jadakiss, Beanie Siegel, it doesn't matter if it's Sean Combs. In order to literally get initiated, you had to be outside. Nowadays, you could, you know, it was easy. The Chief Keef generation, he made I Don't Like in an apartment, not an Airbnb. He made I Don't Like in an apartment. So with technology, it made it easier. But when J. Cole was on old school way, that's how he got initiated. Kept, you know, trying to get Jay-Z attention, but he didn't realize draft day is your last day. And I'm gonna say this again because when you get signed to a record label, that's also draft day as well. Doesn't matter if it's the NBA, doesn't matter if it's the NFL. It doesn't matter if it's a fraternity. That's draft day as well too. When you cross the burning sands, when you cross over, that's also draft day as well. So you guys have to understand, J. Cole said, good news is we came a long way. Meaning that from where we used to be, we came a long way. But the bad news is we went the wrong way. You guys have to understand, when it's all said and done, a lot of people, they think if you work a 9 to 5, you a sheep. They don't understand that, guess what? You are actually the strong one because you didn't follow the crowd of the weak. Let's go back to that J. Cole verse one more time. He said, good news is we came a long way. Bad news is we went the wrong way. And a lot of people will listen to that song and they wouldn't really catch that. I heard that song a lot of times, but I never caught that. I caught that until now. So sometimes when the music is, you know, cool and you actually, well, I wasn't a fan of J. Cole, but I'm just saying for fans of J. Cole, you're just in love with J. Cole to the point that you're not even hearing that he's crying out and dropping gems on the track. Literally dropping gems on a track that probably went over a lot of people's head. That's why I'm bringing that back. But with that being said, We live in a world where people believe money is power. Now, a lot of people don't walk around with cash. So now we have debit and we have credit cards. But when it comes to the dollar, probably all around the world, even the pesos too, but I'm speaking on the US, they put dead presidents on a dollar. So it's the mindset that we have to grind for dead presidents. So we don't mind becoming dead for dead presidents. Money is a tool, nothing more, nothing less. And I told you guys, DSOI, different sources of income. When you have different sources of income, it's actually very relaxing because if you just have one source of income, all you see is just what's on your plate. And a lot of people, they all they want is one source of income. They want the NFL to give them everything. They want the NBA to give them everything. So they're single-minded. So what happens is when you're single-minded, it's easy to become a fan of anything that's on the chessboard. You have to stop and think. Money is a tool. Nothing more, nothing less. Do we worship tools? Ask a person that does plumbing. Does he worship his tools? And who knows what they do. But when it's all said and done, I don't think people worship a screwdriver. We got to drop real content because when we drop real content, then we could be content and we could be happy. And then we don't sweat the small stuff in life. But I'm going to say this again. Do you think people worship a screwdriver? Do you think people worship nails? Do you think people worship forklifts? And don't answer that question because some people probably do. But with that being said, money is just like a screwdriver. Money is just like a nail. Money is just like a hammer. These are just tools. And I'm going to say this again. Money is nothing more than a tool. It is a screwdriver. It is a nail. It is a hammer. Nothing more, nothing less. Money is not worth. And I'm going to say this again. Money is not worthy of praise. And when you see people, because I got a video uploading as we speak, but people like Deion Sanders, they pray that we're back. Got a voicemail. If anybody come in my live asking to hit the like button, I'm removing you from the channel. I said it again. I'm removing you from the channel. Because when it's all said and done, we're just removing you from the channel. No more discussion, no more explanation. If you come in my live and you're concerned about my life and what I have going on, we're removing you from the channel. People are used to YouTubers. I'm not a YouTuber. YouTube to me is another source, another income. Nothing more, nothing less. But with that being said, let's get back to the message. We shouldn't praise money. And I'm going to say this again. We shouldn't praise money at all. We should have money working for us. We shouldn't be slaves to money. The money should work for us. And it doesn't even have to be a slave to us. Nothing has to be a slave to anything. That's kind of extreme. But we don't have to be slaves to the money. But money should work for us. Once you have an abundant mindset, you will realize that, man, it's enough out here for every man. I don't think people believe that. And I'm going to say this again. I don't think people really believe that it's enough out here for everybody. But I'm here to tell you that it is enough out here for everybody. As a matter of fact, the U.S., we are literally behind in debt, but they keep on printing. So if they keep on printing, guess what? You could keep on getting more tools, more hammers, more screwdrivers, more nails. That's how we have to see money. It's just a tool. Okay, you got 20,000. How is the 20,000 going to work for you? You got 50,000. How is this 50,000 going to work for me? You got 100,000. How is this 100,000 going to work for me? That's it. The money serves you. You don't serve money. And I'm going to say this again. This is a real video because we live in a world where people are taught money is power and powerful people have money. These are all lies to make you want to follow after what many and others have followed after. It doesn't matter if it's money. It doesn't matter if it's shekels. It doesn't matter if it's pesos. When it's all said and done, people would do desperate things for dead presidents that died the same way that you died inside chasing after money. Money's going to come. If you got a game plan, money's going to come. Matter of fact, if you start a business, the real reason it's easy to get funded for a business is because the banks, they believe that your business will make you money and also help them as well. So that's why they are quick to give out business loans. When we ran through that situation 4 or 5 years ago, the real reason they gave out PPE loans wasn't to abuse them, but it was to keep business owners afloat in the meantime. Because business owners, I mean, literally, the money that they invest, it not only works for them, but it also works for the banks that loaned out the money. It's simple. If you don't have a plan, 9 out of 10, you probably wouldn't have any money. So for people without money, that's because they don't have a plan. It's not because the color of their skin. It's not because of their height. It's not because they're attractive. It's not because of the ugliness. It's because they just simply don't have a plan. And if you don't have a plan, you plan to fail. And I'm going to say this again. We got 8 more minutes left. I got another video uploaded. If you don't have a plan, you plan to fail. Some people want money for the wrong reasons. They want money to flex on people who laughed at them. You got to stop and think. You want money to flex on somebody that laughed at you, that laughed at your dreams? So you need money to show that person, look at me now? Who is that person to you? That you need to go out, hit the lottery, or go out and buy a Lamborghini because they laughed at you. I'm going to be honest, 9 out of 10, when you tell people your vision and you're not close, a lot of people will laugh because you're wearing Pumas and your Pumas are leaning and your tennis shoes are dirty. So there's no sign that you might buy a McLaren one day. But even though you're probably going to get the McLaren, guess what? Ignore the laughter. And this is why it's so important to not tell people your plan. Because they can't see your plan. It's your plan. Unless they're on your LLC documents. Unless they're your business partner. And 9 out of 10, if they're laughing at you, they're not your business partner. 9 out of 10, if you tell people what you want to do, they will laugh because when it's all said and done, you shouldn't have told them anyway. You're adding fuel to the fire by telling people your dreams, your goals, your visions, what you want to do. You're adding fuel to the fire. So a lot of people, they just want to get money to say, look at me now. Okay, cool. You did all that to prove what? And I'm going to say this again. You did all that to prove what? The problem is, in life, we have humans who pretend to be God, lowercase. They'll never be, but they pretend to be. So a lot of people, they will never tell you, but they bought into the hype of the whole God-like, everywhere they go, people follow, people wait at the airport, they're cheering, they're praising. But one thing for sure is, I'm here to tell you, when you leave this earth, nobody's going to really care. So for everybody that's focused on being a legend, if anything, it's more about being a walking legend or a living legend, because when you die, nobody's going to care. When I was growing up, Michael Jackson, that was the Chris Brown 10X 25 other R&B singers. Guess what? I'm probably the only content creator that's shocked that nobody talks about Michael Jackson. Nobody does ee. Nobody does Smooth Criminal. Nobody talks about Michael. But growing up, I heard stories from when I was a baby how Michael Jackson had it. They say my dad told me he went to a Michael Jackson concert in Germany because I was born in Germany. He said he went to a Michael Jackson concert in Germany, and he said the woman literally automatically just took their shirts off, just in the crowd. You're probably not even going to see that again. You don't. I mean, I don't know if it's because of social media and cell phones, but they might throw a bra on stage, but you're not going to see the whole auditorium with no shirts on. That's how Michael Jackson had it. And guess what? Nobody talks about Michael Jackson at all. So what does that tell you? When you're gone, nobody cares. So while you're alive, keep that mindset. When it's all said and done, nobody cares. Nobody cares. And once you realize nobody cares, you're going to stay focused on what really matters. And what really matters is if you're going to have a family, try to leave your family enough of that tool, AKA money, so they can have tools to navigate after you leave this earth. Whether you want to believe it or not, some people might be scared. They might get afraid, but it's nothing to be afraid. It's nothing to be afraid. Have good courage. But we all have to leave this earth. We didn't ask to be here. Our parents is probably running around not using plan Bs. But at the end of the day, that's none of our business. And we got to make the best of it. If half of us could make a choice, could we stay in heaven or could we be on earth? A lot of us would be like, man, take us back to heaven. Screw this earth. That's why a lot of people take their own lives, because it's like this earth, when it's all said and done, is kind of simple, you know, to the point people feel they need money for excitement. I need to pop 100 bottles in a club. I need to have 800,000 horsepower just to do 35 miles an hour. Because this life, it is what it is. You live, you learn, you grow, you fall in love, you procreate, you date, try not to skate, and watch your kids elevate. Wasn't trying to rhyme, it happened naturally. That's it. You live, you learn, you grow, you date, try not to skate, you procreate, and watch your kids elevate. That's it. Okay, now this is a real comment. From now on, we only read real comments. I had a girl tell me Elon Musk is powerful, and I told her it's just and money, and she said no. Yeah, Elon Musk is powerful to her because she's attracted to money is her God. So if money is their God, what happens is, yes, that person becomes powerful. How do you think people join fraternities all across America? And somebody said in our lives, somebody with a fraternity member told a person, if you join a fraternity, you will always have a job. So yes, to some people that are weak, money is power. But to the strong, we will look at the input to get the output. And I'm gonna say this again. Strong people, we look at the input to get the output. And if the input requires me getting down to my knees and pledging towards a deity and getting branded like I'm a tomahawk steak, no, I'm good on that. I'll pass on that. You know, if the input requires me doing certain things that I don't want to do, I don't care about the output. See, Elon Musk, he wanted an output. So he put in the input to get the output, and he's living his best life. But my question is, for that girl, she's concerned and will never meet Elon Musk in her lifetime. See, that's the problem. People are fanatics of people they will never meet in their lifetime. You guys have to understand, you cannot love money. You got to make money work for you. The money is business, nothing more, nothing less. How do you get money? By handling your business. Now, people have been smart and they found out ways how to use victimhood to gain money. But when it's all said and done, if you're brave, you will never see that as an input to get an output. But when it's all said and done, you can't love money because at the end of the day, what is money is backed by nothing. You can't even love gold. You can't even love silver. Even if you get gold, make the gold work for you. 20 minutes. Thank you guys for tuning in. Stay blessed. Got a new video uploaded. Let it breathe.